When I was asked about this theme, I suppose the first thing that actually sprung to mind is earlier this year I got engaged, and my fiancé and I celebrated our engagement in a restaurant called It's About Time. Now, after 10 years of being together, we thought it was quite appropriate. But I'm not going to talk about that this evening. I'm going to talk about, I suppose, my feelings of time since really becoming a politician. And I suppose what I've come to realize is that life is a race, and it's a race against time. 2.5 years ago, I was perhaps walking in that race. I had 3 jobs, a full-time job working for an MLA, 2 part-time jobs to pay the bills. I was also studying for a part-time master's. And I describe it as a walk because I felt I was perhaps going a little too slow. The journey that I was on, I wasn't quite sure that it was the journey I wanted to be on. But I wasn't sure where I wanted to go either. I never for once envisaged that I would become the Justice Minister of Northern Ireland, and that's a theme that happened right up until I did become the Justice Minister of Northern Ireland. But that race stopped. It stopped on the 18th of April 2014, when my predecessor, mentor, passed away. And quite a defining moment in my life, because first and foremost, I lost someone who was so very special to me. But it also pushed me in another direction. It put me on another race. And that race was a sprint. It was a sprint to get elected. I became an MLA on the 26th of May 2014, midterm within the mandate. No one in my constituency knew who Claire Sugden was. So I had a real task ahead of me to get elected. And politicians often get criticised. Politicians just want to get re-elected again. Yes, that's entirely right, we do. That is our end game, because it ensures that we can keep doing the job that we all, I would hope we all hope to do, and that's to serve the people that we represent. So I did want to get elected. But I could only do that if people knew who I was, if people were confident that I was the best person to stand before them in this House. So it was a sprint. I spent 2 years working very, very hard, travelling the lengths and breadths of my constituency so that people could get to know me, but most importantly, so I could get to know them, get to know their issues, get to know what the voice that they wanted me to portray in this House. And that was the most important thing. That's why I got elected in 2016. Because I fulfilled the role that I believe every politician ultimately should be seeking towards, and that is to be an effective elected representative. So we got elected, and it was a race. And even when I did get engaged in March, I said to my fiancé, we will start planning this in the summer. Don't have time now, I have to get elected, but we'll put that to one side. But then, all of a sudden, people started considering me for Justice Minister. Now, I want to just put on record, you don't stand as an independent in the Northern Ireland Assembly with the intention of becoming a government minister. So it was as much a shock to me that it perhaps was to the rest of Northern Ireland. But that's okay. But that put me on a different race, a different journey, perhaps. And this one is more of a marathon, and I want to talk about that. The most difficult thing about being a minister is not the challenges, it's not the difficulties that I have around prisons, it's not the difficulties I have with crime on the streets. Those are problems. Every job has problems, but it's how you deal with those problems is the challenge in itself. And I know moving forward, it's something that I'm really keen to tackle, and I'm keen to tackle it with an integrity. I'm keen to tackle it in terms to be informed. And again, very much like my first 2 years as an MLA, very much like that sprint in terms of getting elected again, my role as Justice Ministry will do just that. We will go out, we will chat to the people of Northern Ireland, we will find out what's the best service that we want to provide for them. But that is a marathon, that's difficult, and it's something that we have to do consistent. At this stage, 6 months into my justice role, I am feeling a little breathless. Every day is a busy day. I often run out of time. I'll be really honest with you. Trying to prepare for this evening, I was very quickly running out of time upstairs. But that's okay, because we're getting the job done. And as long as we keep going, I think we will all get there. And certainly I know I will. My biggest fear being Justice Minister is not appearing on the TV, being criticised for saying the wrong thing, because that will happen, and I will reflect on it when it does. My biggest fear is not doing the wrong thing. My biggest fear is not progressing on the issues that I think that Northern Ireland needs me to progress on. I've identified 5 key areas as part of my Justice Ministry. First and foremost, I want to go some way in addressing domestic violence. I want to address issues related to mental health. I want to look at issues around children and young people. I want to look at issues around older people. And I also want to look at the impact of our rural areas in Northern Ireland. Now, those issues in themselves are not specific justice issues. You could probably lift those and transplant them into any government department. And those issues in themselves, I did not pluck out of thin air. Every politician, when they stand for election, will write a manifesto. And as an independent, as one of many candidates right across Northern Ireland, I wrote that manifesto. I didn't, again, pluck that out of thin air. Throughout my work, my 2 years, that sprint that I had to try and get elected, getting to know the people meant I got to know the issues. So my manifesto demonstrated those issues. And I'm now in a fortunate position that I can take forward those issues within my own Justice Department. And that's what I intend on doing. And I believe that's the right approach, because that means we are informed and we are listening to the people of Northern Ireland. And that's a marathon, because I don't think we've too often done that. We have a legacy in Northern Ireland, a legacy that came out of direct rule, a legacy that meant that people were representing us, making decisions on our behalf, without going out and speaking to the people of Northern Ireland. Which means that concept of listening is quite difficult to grasp. It seems fairly obvious that in order to represent the people of Northern Ireland, you go out and you speak with them. But that doesn't happen as often as it should. To be honest, there's a responsibility on the people of Northern Ireland themselves to give those opinions, to tell their politicians, to tell their government what is right for them. We are in a very new space in Northern Ireland, and this is part of the marathon that we're finding ourselves to. My experience of the Northern Ireland Executive to far is that we are in a different space. There is a willingness to want to move forward together. I think it's a case of we were on a journey up until now, a journey of stability, a journey of really just trying to make Northern Ireland work. I think we're in that space of where we are going to transform, because we are starting to look at the issues that matter to people. We are listening. But it's a long road ahead. It's something that we do need to take at a pace. I've been criticised quite recently, perhaps this week, at not getting things done overnight, not having a full consideration within a couple of weeks. But that's okay. It's not about how quickly we get it done. It's about how well we do it. And I think we all need to be mindful of that. But equally, we are time-bound. And this is my fear. This is my personal fear as a minister. I have 5 years a mandate. I'm 5 months into that mandate already, and I feel I haven't gotten anywhere. Now, I have my own reasons for that, but I'm really keen to get things done, and I'm really keen to push forward and move ahead. And I think the way we do that is that we realize what's possible. We be realistic about what's possible. But we also have to realize that we have to do it within a time frame. It is about time. It's about time that Northern Ireland started delivering. It's about time that Northern Ireland started determining their own futures, determining the services that they want. But I think it is the time that we are starting to do that. But it is a journey. I think we will find our way. This mandate in itself will not be enough. I'm working to a 5-year term. I'm not anticipating that I'm going to be the Justice Minister again in 5 years. However, if that should happen, 10 years would be really quite handy. But we have to do what we can, and I think that's about being realistic. We have to make tough decisions. We also have to sit down and realize why we're here. I am very keen to say that I don't think anyone expected Claire Sugden, Independent MLA for East Londonderry, to become Justice Minister. We talked about this at the beginning of my talk. But now that I am, I think there's an opportunity in my independence. I think my independence has provided an opportunity for the Northern Ireland Executive to get on with it. I don't bring any baggage to the table. I was criticised when I became Justice Minister that I'm inexperienced. And that's fine to a degree. I accept that I perhaps have never been a minister before. I accept that I don't have a background in law, and I accept that I don't even have a background in justice. And previous to becoming the Justice Minister, I perhaps didn't even have a focus on that. But I see that as a good thing, because it means my ideas coming into this department are not preconditioned. If I was a solicitor, for example, then I would have a very definite idea of what that is about. But I'm not. So it requires me to go out and speak to people, speak to solicitors, speak to barristers, speak to judges, and take a balanced view from each one of them in coming to where I think we need to be for the people of Northern Ireland. So I have no baggage, but that's a good thing. That's an opportunity. And now is the time to do it. The contention around myself becoming Justice Minister was that I designate in this House as an independent unionist. The role of the Justice Ministry can be quite contentious, as I'm sure you can imagine why. But that's the next step in our journey. Unionism, nationalism for me are fundamental ideologies. It's okay to be a unionist. It's okay to be a nationalist, as long as we respect one another. And I think that's where we're at today. I do believe there's a respect in this House. I do believe that we have come to our place in time where we need to set our differences aside, where we need to move forward, and we need to respect one another. We have to respect differences. And I do think we're in a place to do that. We do have a way to go. And again, as I said, this is a marathon. And it's about building our stamina in doing so. But you build your stamina by the steps forward that you take. If you stop, you won't get any fitter. You won't get fit for the run. You won't get fit for the rest of the journey. But when I became Justice Minister, I ensured that we didn't stop on that journey. And that's a really important point. And people criticised me for it. And they said, you know, you've gone against what you've said before. But what sort of person would I have been to have stopped Northern Ireland in its journey? I have to be more responsible in that, because it's not about me. It's about the people of Northern Ireland. And I think it is time. The time is now that we have realised that. And I think moving forward, we will be much better for it. So I'm on a marathon. I am a bit breathless from it, I will admit. But I'm not going to get any further forward if we stop. And I think, really, this is just the beginning. And I really look forward to our future. Because Northern Ireland deserves it. Every one of you deserves it. And we will get there. We will get across the line. And then we will start our next marathon. Thank you.